Ellen Fitzgerald, student representative.
Carol Shea, Marlboro.
Sue Bradley, Marlboro.
Bruce Olmsted, Hebron.
Rich Jacobson, Hebron.
Danny Holtzclaw, Ann Rover.
Superintendent of Schools.
Jay Neal, I'm the business manager.
Karen DiCarlo, board clerk.
That brings us to item number 2 on the agenda, which is the Pledge of Allegiance. If we could all rise, and the flag is in the back of the room. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That brings us to item number 3 on the agenda, which is public comments. So we have a rather large group here, so we're probably anticipating that most of you, if not all of you, want to address the board. So you're encouraged to do so. We ask just as a matter of rule, you try to keep your comments to within 3 minutes if you can, because we have a rather long agenda tonight. So if you could do that, just please do so as you address the board. Just stand up, state your name and the town that you're from, and share your comments with the board. And just to let you know, we follow Robert's Rules of Order, so there will not be any direct exchange or responses at this time during public comments to your questions, but those items that you're bringing up will be taken into consideration. If there's some things that need to be addressed by the administration, we'll make sure that Dr. Saminsky and his team respond to those for you separately. But thank you for coming, and if anyone would like to address the board, please do so at this time.
Yes, Theo Redmond, Hebron. First, I want to thank the board for paying attention to us and listening to our concerns for the additional coaching staff and the strength and conditioning coach. We have a number of students here that would like to speak to you, advocating for themselves. We do ask that you do consider this and think on this. This is a very important part of their lives. This is something that means a great deal. And I also I want to thank Mark Logan, who has been an outstanding advocate for us. I have the opportunity to work for many athletic directors, and none are better than that man. So I'm very grateful for the support Mark has given us. I know that Mark is limited by the constraints of the budget and what he's allowed to do, but I think he would increase the program. If he was given the opportunity, he would increase our program. So we have a few students.
Hi, my name is Jack Tillinghast. I'm a senior here at Rham High School. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to let me speak. And I would like to speak on behalf of Rham football. I think I've played Rham football for 11 years, 7 during youth and 4 during high school here. I think that there's some adjustments that could be made to make Rham football a better place for the student athletes that participate. One thing that would benefit these student athletes to make football better would be a strength and conditioning coach. I think that there's generally a gap from freshman and sophomore year to junior and senior year. I think that usually you see other schools that have a nice, up-to-date facility and one main strength and conditioning coach that usually keeps the student athletes on a schedule for workouts and is usually on them for, for example, if the workout is at 6 a.m. every day or something, or during summer lifting, just every day doing certain lifts. That's something that we never really had consistent at Rham High School for football or for any sport, I don't think. So I think just that consistency would help our student athletes get more strength to help football and other sports too. I think another addition to Rham football would be to have coaches that are not just volunteers, they're also paid on salary. I think that we had like 4 or 5 volunteers that were on last year's coaching staff, and usually you see other high schools that have numerous coaches that are helping out the head coach, like 7 or 8 offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, strength and conditioning coaches, and I don't think we had coaches that were non-volunteers. So I think those two aspects would help the program out a lot. So thank you for taking my considerations in the program.
Thank you. Anyone else?
So I am Cal Redmond, other than Hebron. I'd like to thank you for letting me speak tonight. I'm on the football, basketball, and track team, and I have set very high goals, both academically and athletically. But I believe I am only receiving part of this high school education. Our coaches tell us how on the field or court is just another classroom, and I've learned so much from my coaches. But it seems as though sports and fitness are not very important to the Rham Board of Education. Every student has gifts and talents, and Rham should help kids achieve excellence in any area they have a gift and desire to achieve in. When I am practicing and competing, I challenge myself to see what I am capable of. But because of sports, I have set high academic goals so that one day I might go to college. The best part of my school day is when I am out on the court or field. I want all Rham kids to have this chance, to be the best and achieve excellence. However, athletic programs do not have enough coaches for the kids. We don't even have freshman teams in most sports. Rham also needs a strength and conditioning coach in order to keep kids at the high level in order to compete with other schools. This would give them the very best chance. Please hire a strength and conditioning coach to help us follow our dreams. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kevin Clark and I live in Hebron, Connecticut. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. I am a sophomore 3-sport student athlete. I play basketball, football, and track, and I support the hiring of strength and conditioning coach. My goal is to be the best student athlete that I can be and to work consistently to improve my abilities. One way that I do this is by taking advantage of the extra guidance from teachers to help me with classes. I also try to work out at 6 o'clock a.m. 4 times a week to do weightlifting, cardio, and plyometric workouts. Based on past coaching, I feel like I know what I'm doing, but I could also learn a lot more with a qualified and dedicated strength and conditioning coach. There are many people, however, who don't know what they're doing in the weight room, and it's to the point where they're going to hurt themselves, and I've had to step in before because kids are going to hurt themselves or break expensive equipment. Many people can't get a good workout due to lack of weight room knowledge, and I believe that a strength and conditioning coach would be instrumental to students like me to helping us get stronger and faster. Hiring a strength and conditioning coach will get more kids in the weight rooms, learn proper and safer techniques, pushing us to do better. And this will lead to a boost in Rham sports performance overall, as well as reduction in injuries. Please support the hiring of strength and conditioning coach for Rham and student athletes. Thank you.
My name is Piper Redmond. I'm from Hebron, Connecticut. I'd like to ask you to support the request for a strength and conditioning coach. I'm in 9th grade. I played on the volleyball team, and I'd like to run track this spring. I want to be the very best that I can be, and I know it will take a lot of work. I also know that I need to work in the weight room so I can jump higher and run faster. Right now, there's no one in the weight room that can coach me. A lot of my friends feel the same way. It's intimidating as a 9th grade girl to go into the weight room and just start exercise without knowing what to do. We feel very uncomfortable when we try to go in. Would you please hire a strength and conditioning coach for all the Rham kids? I know there are a lot of girls that want the coaching, and it would help our teams as well. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Faith Lackey. I'm on the football team, and I'm from Marlborough. When I first began football, I didn't realize how intense it actually was. Training was harder than I ever realized. We were pushed to our limits and past them so we could grow stronger physically and mentally. Because of those hard practices and hard work, I've become a mentally stronger person who pushes past excuses and strives for her goals, not just on the field. In youth, I was told to never give up and give it my all every practice, every game, and every day, on and off the field for the rest of my life. Those words have stuck with me since. As a girl player, I have had many people doubt me and tell me I can't because of my gender. With such supportive coaches and team members, I was helped to get over these negative doubts because, to be honest, at first those comments hurt and bothered me more than I ever wanted them to. I was told to show what it meant to hit like a girl, run like a girl, and play like a girl, and use the doubts as motivation to push myself harder. Without such a supportive team who always made me feel welcomed and accepted, I would not have had as many new friends I consider family to me even after the season ended. Football has stuck with me even after the season ends because the game is so much more than a game. It's a lesson, it's a passion, and it sticks with you.
Jackie Landry Hebron. I'm going to state the obvious by starting to say that Rham is a fantastic school. I have a sophomore here. I've got a freshman and senior in college. And my older kids have experienced firsthand how well Rham prepares you for college. They also see how well Rham prepares you in comparison to their peers at college to go to other schools, both in-state and out-of-state. I credit their success not only to the academics here, but also to the extracurricular sports and clubs that they were a part of. Studies show that students who take part in these after-school activities learn time management, leadership skills, self-discipline, and teamwork. These are invaluable lessons that go far beyond the classroom, and our students are lucky to have these choices. But tonight, my focus is on Rham football. Compared to local schools, this program is currently underfunded. We have been blessed with volunteers that give upwards to 25 to 30 hours a week of their time. This is an incredibly generous amount of time that cannot and should not be taken for granted or be expected. So I'm asking the board to increase the coaches' stipends and add 4 assistant coaching positions and a strength and conditioning coach. This will bring us on par with other local schools. And finally, as more of a maternal opinion, being on a high school team is a unique experience. There's a bond, a camaraderie, a family-type feeling with teammates that you don't get elsewhere. These bonds promote greater confidence, self-esteem, and school spirit. Due to the sheer number of players needed for a football team, this sport has the potential to reach a larger percent of student body, both male and female, than any other sport. With an increased coaching staff and stronger program, we can reach these children and let them take advantage of these opportunities. It would be a win-win for both the school and students. Thank you.
My name is Ellen Clifford, and I'm from Hebron, and I'd like to start by saying that I work for Vernon Public Schools. I work in the superintendent's office, and I personally do appointment letters for all the coaches and make sure that their payments get processed, and their stipends for a Class S school are double what Rham is. And while the coaches here, you never coach for the money. I will stand here because I've been a coach for 8 years. If you're coaching for the money, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. But I am a huge advocate for the fact that I do think, especially with football and wrestling, which go 6 days a week, I do think that stipend increases would be beneficial to everybody. They put in a lot of time and energy. The kids are great, the programs are great, and so I'm here to advocate for better stipends. I want to state that my son is a senior. He's been a 4-year participant in football and wrestling. He was also a captain in football and wrestling this year. And always during the season, he is much more disciplined and organized, goal-oriented, and determined. He always wanted to set the example by attending every practice and every game. And so his academics often had to be put off until late at night. He learned how to prioritize, and he definitely learned time management and how to get his work done and get it done well. He was in honors and AP classes, always challenged himself, and always made the honor roll. I believe that it went hand in hand with participating in a sport and learning all the valuable skills that he did. I recognize that not all students are athletes. My daughters, one is an athlete, one is not. But I know that if you had a full-time sports and conditioning coach, she would learn to lift weights. She would learn how to do cardio. She would learn how to do plyometrics because she would like to. Rham students that either some forego athletic experience altogether, or some participate and quit halfway through, and especially with the football program because they don't want to be associated with this historically losing program. Some of the students could really benefit from a better athletic experience. a more competitive program that offers discipline, acceptance, responsibility, and confidence. I am hoping that with an increase in funding to both the strength and conditioning coach and to the stipends across the board, you will get more well-trained, experienced coaches, and more student athletes will participate and have the same experience that my son has had for the past 4 years. They will learn to be more focused and more organized. A commitment to enhance the athletic performance of Rham sports will only benefit the students at Rham, both academically and socially. Thank you.
Daniel Larson, 147 Hope Valley Road. I ask that you as board members, as you start going into this budget season, spend a little bit of time, try to attend some of the local board of finance, boards of selectmen's meetings as they discuss the budgets, so that you can also see what the towns are having to deal with and the financial constraints that are being put on the towns by the state. It's only right that you see just what some of their issues are, so that it will help you to make hopefully better decisions that all the taxpayers can vote for and approve. It's going to be a tough year. I think there's no doubt about it from all ends. Everybody knows what the state is doing. You know, they're basically offloading a lot of their responsibilities onto the backs of the schools and the towns. And we need to collectively work together to get affordable budgets so that they pass. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Suzanne Poudre. I'm from Hebron. I'm here tonight in support of increasing funding for the football program. A number of people at last month's meeting and even tonight are here to talk about increasing the number of assistant coaches, the strength and conditioning coach, purchasing better equipment. I'm just here tonight to talk to you as a football mom. When my neighbor told me he was coaching 6 and 7-year-olds at the D level in the youth football program about 7 years ago, and asked if my son wanted to play, I almost felt hypocritical saying no, because I've always been a huge football fan myself. And he tried soccer, and it just wasn't his sport. That's not to say I didn't have concerns about my son playing football, but you know, with the fear of concussions, the huge time commitment, and NFL players coming out and revealing problems that they have these days, it's, you know, it's definitely, there's a lot to think about before you let your son play football. But I will tell you that it's one of the best decisions that I ever made to let him play. He is now in 8th grade, and he played for the last 7 years, and he's planning on playing in high school, hopefully, this coming fall. And football is his favorite sport above all else. I truly believe that football has made a young man and a young woman into a better person. I watched a somewhat timid boy without a ton of self-esteem transform before my eyes in the last several years into a confident young man who learned how to be a leader on his team, push himself farther than he ever knew he could, learned the importance of doing a job well, discipline, and the true meaning of teamwork. For some kids, probably more than you know, football is often one of the best things they have going for them. I know that a lot of these kids look at their coaches as a father figure. They look at their teammates as brothers. Football brings families together. By taking my younger daughter to games to watch my son play, she then became interested in being a cheerleader, and now she's 4 years into the program. Football, I believe, brings a community together. I can't tell you what joy I had in watching all of the people come to Burnt Hill Park, which, you know, getting people to our beautiful parks that we have in this town is something that we should always encourage. And, you know, just to have a community come together on a Sunday and have a burger and, you know, catch up. It's just, I love seeing that every single Sunday when we had our games. I truly believe that football matters, and I really hope that you'll consider increasing the funding for the football program. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hi, Ethan Braswell from Marlboro. It's my understanding that with the budget discussions tonight and this year's proposed budget will include a $250,000 increase for the new Rham Inquiry Academy for the middle school. The Academy's enrollment is approximately 40 students. The purpose of the Academy is to develop more personalized learning into the Rham curriculum. The concepts of using personalized learning is to achieve blended learning or use modalities to incorporate new style of learning for the next generation of students. These concepts are being used by magnet schools as a way to offer new and customized learning techniques to students. Rham is making an investment of $250,000 this year, and I'm sure more dollars in future years, with a long-term goal of providing enhanced learning programs for the students and hopefully decrease the cost of outplaced voluntary alternative education and magnet school tuition in the future. Last year's budget for the high school athletics program totaled $416,000. The cost benefited approximately 697 Rham high school students. Again, we have 697 high school student athletes at Rham. So the cost spent on high school athletics resulted in a cost ratio of $596 per student athlete, not counting approximate $80 credit per student for the pay to play. If you were to deduct that, you'd be closer to only $520 per student athlete that the school spends. You've heard from many parents and students tonight and for a long time about the long-term proven benefits of participating in athletics, both on an student's academic performance and preparation for future career success through life lessons and learning valuable skill sets, including improved time management skills, teamwork, leadership, critical thinking, and other problem solving, to name a few. The $250,000 current year investment for the middle school academy will benefit 40 students for a total cost of $6,250 per student. Coming from a family of educators myself, I do not disagree that we have to continue to make investments in our curriculum to benefit our students. So I'm not critiquing whether that cost per student benefit is reasonable, nor would I pretend to project what the future estimated cost savings may be for the district if similar techniques can be used at the high school level, thus reducing the number of outplaced costs for magnet and specialty schools. Then again, how could I, as these blended learning techniques and concepts are relatively new, and so the benefits are not yet clear, but that shouldn't discourage us from moving forward with those. Included in the decision package in this year's budget is an increase in the athletics program for approximately $45,000. Included in this decision package is the need for a strength and conditioning coach for all students and athletes, additional coaches for sports teams to better educate and train our athletes, and enhance coaches' salaries, stipends to be more competitive with peer conference, which we competed in. The proposed increase of $45,000 represents a mere cost of $65 per student athlete. A far cry from the $6,000 per student we are investing in our voluntary alternative education program. Yet, we have many studies and years of hard facts and a long history which show the long-term academic benefits that result from students playing sports. So, if you're willing to invest $6,000 per student for experimental programs, we should certainly be able to spend $65 per student athlete to provide programs we know work and will help them develop the foundation for academic, collegiate, and long-term success, as well as an immediate improvement in athletic performance. Also with the Inquiry Academy, this investment to Rham Athletics will help Rham maintain more students. As right now, Rham is losing many student athletes to high schools with more competitive athletic programs, as well as to improve the Rham community involvement and experience with more competitive athletic teams. And I will mention tonight, application was started for that $45,000 decision package. It was circulated in town a little over a week ago, and we already have 230 taxpayers that have agreed to vote for that $45,000, not only in a week. I expect that amount to go up a lot higher, and who knows how high it'll get, but there's a lot of support in the community. I know this is just a small group here tonight, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mark Pasquale, Hebron. Better conditioned athletes don't get injured as much, period. So just having a strength and conditioning coach is a vote for our kids and their safety and keep them in the classroom and keep them healthy. My son Trevor was with our youth football for 7 years, and he's been with the Rham team for the last 3. We've had a very successful, by every measure, for our youth football program, and that doesn't translate by the time we get to the high school. We hemorrhage a lot of talented kids to a lot of the surrounding schools, a lot of surrounding programs. If we do anything, even some bare minimum to try to boost our program, we're going to retain a lot more of these kids. We're going to have a lot more successful programs here at Rham. I remember back when I was a student, in high school, long time ago, when Lincoln might have been president. But the football was the focal point of our student life. Everybody showed up for the football games. I can't tell you the first time I came to a Rham football game and sat in the stands and looked around at a couple dozen people there to watch the team, and I know that that can be a lot better. If you start having any kind of success at all, you're going to have people show up to watch the games a lot more. It was really nice this last last year when the pep band started showing up to the games. That by itself started bringing in a lot more people. A lot more people started getting excited. So there's a lot of things you could do with the budget to increase things, make things more interesting for the football program, get a lot more people to show up. The Cadillac versions aren't in here in front of you. There's just some very reasonable measures that you're going to get a lot of value for, and hopefully we'll support that in the budget. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, everyone. That brings us to the next item on the agenda, which is additions to the agenda, which there'll be no additions tonight. So, but I am going to ask just to change the order for a second. We have John Acavallo, who's the district auditor, is here tonight, and I'm going to have him do his presentation now for 20 minutes so that he can give us the part on the district audit. John?
Okay. The way that we usually do it, excuse me, is that we go through the opinion on the financial statements. We'll touch on some major increases and decreases in the budget to actual, and then we'll go right into the findings. Starting with the opinion on the financial statements. In our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the respective financial position of the governmental funds and major fund of the regional school district as of June 30, 2016, and the respective changes in the financial position are in accordance with GAAP. So that's the clean opinion, that's the best opinion that we can give on a financial statement. Moving from there, we're going to jump all the way to page 53 of the financial statements, the budget to actual report. Now, the budget to actual can be summed up with a couple of key points. One is health insurance. Health insurance, the district did a very good job controlling costs with health insurance. That's one of the primary reasons for the surplus in the fiscal year. Those costs were offset against rising special education costs, and there were some furniture maintenance costs, and oil costs were actually controlled as well. So health insurance and oil costs were two positives to the tune of about $460,000. Those decreases or controlled costs were offset against special education costs such as tuition and transportation that were on the rise, netting to a surplus of $155,000 approximately for last fiscal year. With that, are there any questions on, I'm going pretty quick, are there any questions on budget to actual?
Yeah, just one, you brought up oil specifically. Do we take into account the oil that we have in the tank?
If it's purchased, it's a cost out. So, when you say, if it's,
So if it's in the
you
tank,
don't inventory it.
Right.
It's factored into his expense. He's only doing actuals.
Okay, so we don't know, okay, so we don't know if this year will be under because our tank was in.
Right. If you build and you control your oil output because of solar panels or anything else like that, that can help you, but that's not taken into consideration because it's not inventory that you carry on your balance sheet.
And I believe what the tank is about $75,000 worth.
Tank is 20,000 gallons. I think the last price was $205 a gallon. So that's the.
But again, this is 15, 16. This is last budget cycle. It's not current.
I understand.
Okay.
But he brought up oil specifically.
Yes.
And we have a $45,000 that could go either way, either budget, so. Okay.
Okay. With that said, it nets to a surplus of $155,000 for as of June 30, 2016, which increases your fund balance to $459,318 as of June 30. With that, I'll move on to the single audit report. Page 13. During the year, we had a couple of findings. During testing, we found that the fixed assets are not being properly maintained, the fixed asset listing. Currently, there's no procedure in place to identify and record fixed asset additions. So they're being expensed, but they're not being put on a fixed asset listing. Occasionally, there are improvements, and they're being reported to the appraisal company, which gets added, but the actual listing is not being reported or recorded on a regular basis. We recommend that the district implement a system to identify fixed asset purchases during the year and maintain a detailed fixed asset ledger to include the depreciation of asset cost, date placed in service, estimated useful life, and depreciation method, and if applicable, the asset retired and selling price. We have started for the district, so there is a list in place. We'll send that over to your business manager, but it has to be, or it should be maintained in our opinion on a regular basis. Moving on.
So John, this is me, before we move on to the next one. This is a recommendation, right?
It's a finding.
It's a finding with a recommendation.
Correct.
What level, how would you categorize this? Because I mean, this isn't the first time we've seen it.
It's
been around for a long time.
There's 3 levels. There's just a basic recommendation, then there's a significant deficiency, and then there's a material weakness. Material weakness is that it would never get caught, and it would have a material impact. These are significant deficiencies. They are a step lower than that. They're important, but they're not going to be material to the financial statements.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. The second one, which in my opinion is more important than the first one, is the monthly formal closing process. As the books are closed on a monthly basis, there should be a reconciliation of all the balance sheet accounts as well as many of the profit and loss accounts, your budget to actual report, if you will. We recommended that the district develop and maintain a formal monthly closing process that reconciles all the balance sheet accounts for all the funds, not just the general fund, along with significant revenue and expenditure accounts. It's my understanding to date that that is being done on a regular basis. So with that said, last year there were 4 findings, and now there are 2, and I'm anticipating, unless we find something else during testing in 16 and 17, that you'll be moving to 1 or no findings next year. So when we first came out, there was a significant number of issues that were addressed, and now we're down to 2. So with that said, there's progress that is being made.
And that's over, you've had the audit, now your firm's had the audit for what, 3 years?
This
I think
up and coming will be
the third year, and there's been steady improvement in each year.
correct.
Anybody else have any questions? Couple questions on the page 53.
Yes.
Does this account include the miscellaneous other accounts like the cafeteria, the student, what do you call it? Class accounts. Is that what's all that balance at the bottom?
No, this is just your general fund. The cafeteria is a business type account, and that's reported completely separate. And I'll tell you which page you'll be able to find the activity for that. Page 14 has the balance sheet, and page 15 has the school lunch in the middle. It shows you the activity for the school lunch or cafeteria program.
Then what's, why do we have a beginning balance and ending balance then on that page 53?
That's your beginning fund balance. That's, in other words, it's your retained earnings if you're a corporation or your net asset if you're a nonprofit. It's your assets minus your liabilities equal your fund balance. And that, the first number is your beginning fund balance as of July 1st, and the ending is what it's closed as of June 30th, 2016.
So would that fund balance in the beginning reflect obligations from the previous year that may not have been paid yet until the following fiscal, let's say it's been
Encumbrances?
Encumbrances?
Yes.
Is this the right time to ask for an update from Jane on those two issues?
If you'd like, I mean, we'll change the comments, I'm sure it's fine.
January 9th, the memo on the audit recommendations, those were the updates. You run, since then?
Well,
Since
so
January 9th?
one's all basically wrapped up, instead of
Correct.
balances. So where do we stand on the
Fixed assets?
fixed assets?
Haven't discussed it with Jim.
Do we keep track of our assets at all? Do we tag them? Like all
For
those?
example, all the Chromebooks have a match track as they go out to the students, almost like supermarkets, you know, it's a while.
But what? The other equipment, the other items.
I think that looking at the other equipment, I think that those would be areas that we need to take a look at.
Do you think the value of all that would be, I mean, as far as I'm just trying to get an understanding of the scope. We talked about this last year.
Of what it would cost
I'm
to,
just trying to create
to-
this asset tracking.
How much it's worth?
to actually do this.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get a sense of time, effort, staff,
Well,
people,
you know.
software.
And prior to me being here, you had your business manager that was tagging equipment. I don't have the time to tag equipment, I believe the facilities, so many facilities in the business office were tagging equipment, that type of thing. And from what I understand, they had an outside company that would evaluate.
There was an appraisal that was done a
There was
couple
an
years
appraisal,
ago,
yeah.
which you can build on. Also,
Okay.
there's a level that you capitalize. It doesn't have to be every little piece of machinery or equipment. Depending on the size of the entity, $5,000 might be a good number for Region 8, based on the size, in my opinion. of what you capitalize.
So if the district was to embark on a tracking process and there was a limit that we attached to it that said, okay, this is what we'll begin to track, would you as the auditor or your firm be willing to put the blessing on it that obviously that whatever method we use to do that, since we're not tracking everything, that let's say above 5,000, that's acceptable in your opinion, that would meet the finding that you have?
That would be a start. I mean, I'd have to look at the records, but yes.
Oh, no,
that should-
understood. I'm just saying,
that
if we
should-
went in and said, okay, we're gonna do and put an inventory or tracking system in, and you put the effort to it, and everything over 5,000, whatever that threshold is, assuming that it's done and done correctly, what a threshold, I guess maybe I should ask the question this way. If we put in a system and there's a threshold of what doesn't get tracked, where's that minimal limit
That's
of everything
acceptable.
above, that's acceptable?
Yes. I would also say that, that stuff doesn't fly for insurance purposes.
Understood.
I would say that you might want to get a video and just put it, that's just a recommendation, just take a video and put it aside. You don't have to do everything, but if you have a video of it, it kind of is memorializes what's here.
Thank you. Any other questions? John, did you have anything else? Jane, did you have any comments? Dr. Sneed?
No.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
If there are any other questions that come up after, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.
I think that we can, one thing we could add to the next agenda, that's one to accept the audit.
Yep.
And then, move on to the board can do.
I think we had it on the agenda for tonight, but or did we? I thought we had it, because we were given the audit at the last meeting, so.
Yeah, it is on the agenda.
Yeah, it's on the agenda tonight to approve it, I don't think we're gonna be able to do that, so. Right, exactly, so we can do it at the next meeting. That brings us to get back in order to report of the administration. Dr. Swinsky, 5.1, refinancing of the 2007 bonds.
We're in the process of working with the district's financial advisor to refund bonds that were issued in 2007. I have here a copy of the disclosure that I received today for the bonds. I'm waiting for the bank to get back to me with an exact timetable, but we anticipate by refunding the bonds, there will be a savings of about $360,000. So that would be money that would not have to be paid for the borrowing in 2007 that eventually closed out the project.
In the current year budget or the next year's budget?
Next year's budget. And I'll pass these out.
That bond ends when? So that's the 2009 bond?
I think so, yes. I don't have the schedule in front of me, so I can't.
It was 2007.
2007, yes.
So that 360, if we got that, would that be a lump sum or is that?
We'd have to decide.
That's
If
your
you take it all in
decision.
1 year, right. And what happened last time we did it, the more you take up front, the less the impact is, right? So there's a way to do it. You can do it over time. What, 3 years, I think is the max? Is that the way?
I'm sorry?
That they're spreading the savings, or you can do it over the life of the.
Whatever, I think that, don't forget, the bonds will come in at different payments every year because the interest rate may vary. So I think that when you get that, you take a look at that and then make a decision that's in the best interest of everyone as to where to specifically apply the payment.
And what's the earliest it's used?
Fiscal year 18.
This year?
The budget we're about to start looking at. Now, you didn't factor the savings into your.
No, I
budget
didn't,
presentation.
because, I didn't because it's, I can say it's an approximation. And and remember, this has to go out to bid by various agencies, and I'm not sure where it's gonna come back. Say it came back at 400,000, I mean, we'd all be happy, but, how do you apply it?
So I'm trying to remember the process. We've done it twice so far in the last.
That's right.
5 years, and we've netted some savings. Procedurally, just as a board standpoint, what action do we need to take to do this? Do we need to do additional?
None at this point. What I'm trying to do is to work with the bank to get this done as soon as possible, so it could have an impact early on in the budget process.
Understand. I'm talking about just from a procedural standpoint. I can't remember doing
At one point in time, you'll be asked to vote on, the bonds. You'll be, the officers of the board will be required to sign certain documents.
Understand. Just the board, or do we have to go outside of the board? To
Just the
a
board.
meeting? Okay, that was my question, sorry.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood you.
Yep, no, it's fine. Any questions? Oh, 5.2.
Okay, the Health Insurance Consortium has been meeting regularly, and I think we're at the point where we have a draft agreement. There's going to be an all boards meeting tomorrow night where the insurance consultant is going to be presenting the results of our work. I understand the board has a meeting tomorrow night, and because of commitments that were made before that, will not be able to attend. I've spoken to the consultant, and he's willing to come back and make a specific presentation to the Rham board so that you can understand the consortium, the agreement that establishes it, the trust agreement, and the banking agreement, and how specifically the consortium will operate. I just asked for a date so that we can be sure he's here, and I would also suggest that the other boards in the towns be invited. They're going to have a presentation tomorrow night. Should they want to, should they have any questions that develop after the presentation, it might be a good time for them to ask those questions.
Any questions?
Are we gonna do that for the quarterly, or is that gonna be a special meeting? Or we don't know?
When do we need to approve it?
It's gonna have to be, it will likely have to be another special meeting. When I was talking with Bob yesterday, when I saw how this, or on Thursday or Friday, about our Dr. Swinsky on Thursday or Friday, I'm really worried because Rham is the largest portion of the healthcare, and we've been working vigorously over the last, I don't know how long we've been going back, we're trying to get our hands on, 10 years has it been? Yeah, since around the time I started on the board, so of trying to get our hands around this healthcare and try to get a hold of this. So my worry is for the meeting tomorrow night, and I know Mr. Larson, you're here, and now you're here as well, and if there's any others who are here, I apologize, Mr. Shea as well. If you're at the meeting tomorrow night, please accept, our apology for not being able to be there. We have a search committee meeting tomorrow. It's a critical meeting for the entire board, and our priorities are there, or have to be at that meeting tomorrow. So what I've asked the superintendent is to at least convey that message. We would like to be there. We'd like to be at that meeting. We're going to have to do a separate presentation, and I would extend an invitation to any members of the committees, boards, community, or whatever to come in and share in that discussion. And again, we apologize, and we don't mean to be disrespectful. The meetings that we have coming up with the search, or haven't been through with the search, plus regular meetings, committee meetings, budget meetings.
Would it be better to just cancel the meeting tomorrow?
Well, the only problem with that, and I'm sorry for being out of order here by doing that.
I'm
It's
sorry.
such an important, no, but it's such an important component to cost for the district and progress for a lot of the work that we've done. My understanding with Dr. Szymanski is that we're getting to that pivotal point in the road that if we're going to do it, I don't want to speak for the board and thinking knowing where we're leaning, but the board has been very interested in progressing forward with the rest of the groups to make something happen with health insurance that benefits the entire group. I think Dr. Szymanski's afraid of is that we need that traction from the other boards to start getting that feedback, because we're wrapped up into our budgets now. So if you guys come back from the meeting tomorrow night and the feedback from Dr. Szymanski is they threw him out of the meeting and not know, but, go jump in the lake, then we won't have to have those special meetings, I guess. So, but again, it's.
I've attended several meetings and they've done an excellent job.
Yeah.
It sounds like a way to go. So I'm sorry for breaking.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is, everybody's been waiting for a preliminary presentation of the budget. And what I will do this evening is just an overview of the budget. I will have budget materials that I will distribute at the conclusion. I have copies of the PowerPoint that I'd like to distribute so that you can follow along with what I say. And then there'll be a test next week on all material and folks.
So Bob, how do we help everyone?
I put it in next corner because I'm flexible as far as.
Yeah, I don't know, the presentation's gonna be up on the board, plus you have some hard copies here. So, sorry.
I'm just trying to figure out what that's.
That's what I'm saying, the best way to do it. Maybe it's easier to move around.
Yeah.
We'll move around, it's easier for us to
Whatever
go over here.
Whatever we have to do. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it might be easier for us.
Bob?
Yeah. Probably memorized.
We're going to leave it here, or move further over into the corner.
You're here too. Yeah, I know.
Did everybody see that, or do you want me to put on some lights so it'd be easier for Steve to see? And it might hinder your note taking, that's the.
We have copies, yeah, I would defer to,
We're fine here.
Everybody fine?
We'll fall asleep.
Okay, this is my presentation of the superintendent's budget for the 17-18 school year. And I think that there are a couple of things that we need to take a look at. started looking at programming, we wanted to continue the existing programming. And I think that that's important because we've had some success with the programming and we obviously continue to take a look at it. I think the other thing that's very important, and what the governor has said has had a very strong impact on the way this budget was prepared, because there are so many unknowns that we received from the governor's office. For example, regional school districts were left out of the mix. So how do you calculate our share of any the new special education aid when we hadn't been given a formula? So it's very, very questionable. And that's why when I budgeted on a gross amount so that we could go back later and try to figure out what that means, or when the state decides to clarify. Therefore, another confusing part of the state moment. So again, it's prepared as a gross budget, no state aid. We've taken into account local aid, and then we'll see where the state aid goes from this point on. Okay, the proposed budget, remember, gross budget, and 6.21% or an increase of $1.7 million. That's the proposed budget, and it's a gross budget. That anticipated revenues we'll talk about in a minute. Those are all local revenues, so that those are in hand because of where they've been in the past. The budget goals, I think that one we've always felt is very important, to continue to improve student achievement, be sure the programming is challenging, be sure technology had an important place in our school. We also know that enrollment is declining, specifically, especially in the middle school. We wanted to honor the labor agreements, and the continuation of the middle school inquiry academy is for grade 8. If you would recall, it's in grade 7 right now. This is a natural progression. And I think one of the things to remember about the middle school academy, inquiry academy, this allowed the middle school to reduce the number of teams. We had 6 teams in the middle school. We're going to be able to go down to 5. So that reflects the decline in enrollment, and I think that that's important. The budget overview, with, as I said, continuing existing programs, addressing statutory requirements, and we put in decision packages. These are things that have been suggested that I think that it's not a continuation, it would be an add to the program, so we felt that the board should be able to vote on those things, whether to include them in the budget or not. We'll get into the specifics of each one of them later in the presentation. I think that earlier in the year, the governor reduced ECS. And what we did here in trying to get an approximation of what that meant for the district, what we did is we went to each of the towns, found out what their total education budget was. And then we divided that between the local education, K to 6, and Rham 7 to 12. In Andover's case, excuse me, Rham's portion of the budget is 49% of the Andover budget. So we took 49% of the 18,000, and then that gave us the 843. It was a way to take a look at it. It's not one that's been sanctioned by the state, but at least it puts it into some sort of perspective. Now, the governor's budget proposed the elimination of reducing the VCS funding. That's the big funding package that we get for regular students, and that's been reduced. The other one that's a significant one for us is the elimination of the excess cost and agency grant funding. This is money for students who attend programs out of district, and the state picks up 70% of the cost of anything beyond $65,000. We have a number of students that fit in that category this year, and I can tell you that the programming is expensive, as is the transportation for these programs. And then the new one is the towns will be required to pay a portion of the teacher's retirement. Again, there isn't a way of allocating the cost over a regional school district, which gives us difficulty because we realize that Rham has a portion of the cost, but what exactly is that portion? We don't know. And then there's a revised special education funding formula that it's supposed to look at the excess cost rate and incorporate it into some sort of new formula. And if I might go back to the teacher's retirement statement for a moment. In my reading, I've seen the towns, the way this is split is 10%, 25%, and a third. So again, you can see why I've just left this alone and requested more clarification from the state. I think it's important that we recognize, and as I said in one of the earlier slides, we're recognizing the staff decline, specifically in the middle school. You can see we're reducing the staff by 5.87%, and the student body has declined by 7%. And this budget contains 5 fewer teachers than the previous budget, so that we did recognize staff reductions. The budget pie, you can see that salaries and benefits take up a significant portion of the budget. We're looking, excuse me, we're looking at transportation. We're continually analyzing it to see if we can reduce a bus. The buses now usually run somewhere from 45 to 50 minutes, and that's a long bus route. And we're getting some concerns from parents, so that we've been very careful. We've been trying to be frugal, yet be sure that we don't keep students on the bus for a very long time. Budget history, again, this is where we've been since 2010. But remember, the 2017-18 budget is a gross budget, no state aid. I need to keep repeating that. And I think that as you look at budget impacts, you can see over the last 3 years, the 14, 15, 15, 16, 16, 17, the impact that it had when we go into the high deductible health plan health savings account. So that I think that the board has been conscious of those things and tried to implement methods of savings so that they would have an impact on the budget, a positive impact. The contracts, the certified staff, we're getting a 1% raise in the budget that's upcoming. The administrators will be receiving a 2.2%. In the non-certified, we will be beginning negotiations. Their contract is up for will expire July 1st, so we expect to begin that process of renewal. And then just a footnote that the teachers will begin negotiations in the fall. The heating budget, as you can see, we're budgeting about $205,000 for heating oil. We expect the heating cost of the building to be somewhere around $105,000. Maybe it'll be less if we have a very mild winter, we hope. And what we're going to be using that surplus for is to pay down the debt, debt to Hebron that has allowed the gas conversion to go forward. So we expect that to be paid for in maybe 2.5 years. So that would be the payback there. But I just wanted you to be aware of that and how we got to the savings. School choice, you can see where the magnet schools are, Lebanon Boag, Glastonbury Boag, and you can see the students that are going out. This has an impact on tuition because vocational agricultural schools are funded by the state and obviously can control some tuition costs, and the state isn't bashful about passing costs down to us. And so you can see the impact of school choice and the VOAG tuitions, but I think note the magnet schools. I think that you can see a decrease in the magnet school tuition, and I think that we've been able to bring some students back. And I think that that's progress that we want to keep ensuring. And to give you an idea, this is as of January. You can see that where we had students